It is ACC basketball tournament time here in Greensboro. Yes, it's back in Town, but with COVID-19, basketball gatherings need to look a little bit different. In today's To Your Well-Being, we are breaking down safe ways to enjoy the games while also protecting against COVID-19. So with us today, we have Cone Health Chief Physician Executive, Dr. Bruce Swords. He is joining us to talk about how do we do this. So with Town here, and a lot of us are excited about that again, is it okay for friends and family who don't live with each other to watch the games on TV together?
Really would be, again, thanks Tanya for having me. It'd be really nice to give a simple, sweet, short answer, and there's a lot of it depends. So if you're not living together and you want to get together, the same rules do apply mostly, and that is small groups, masks, stay away from each other, don't share utensils or foods, and you're probably okay. But the key is you've got to follow those rules the entire time of the game, and that can be tough.
Yeah, don't let your guard down as the games go on. If people plan to get together with others to watch the games, are there ways to gather safely to watch the game with people that you don't live with, maybe even moving the TV outside?
Yeah, you stole the words out of my mouth. I like the idea of moving the television outside. I like it allows for better ventilation. It allows people to stay away from each other. And it's a good suggestion. Even if you do that, small groups are the best, and keep a mask on.
And keep that mask on. Uh, Folks would say, all right, what about if you do a get together for the game? Should you expect to quarantine afterwards because of that get together?
Certainly, if you find out that someone actually had COVID and you were at the game watching the television with them, absolutely. Then you should quarantine. And there are recommendations about getting tested if you want to get out of quarantine earlier. If you were in a group that actually stayed away from each other and wore a mask, there would be no reason to quarantine.
Okay, so something that people might ask, especially when they say, okay, we're just getting together to watch the game. What about the people that are playing the game? Is that safe? I mean, they're running up and down the court and they're breathing really heavy and they're in a small space.
Under normal circumstances, we wouldn't recommend that. And I wouldn't be recommending it just because we like to watch basketball and the tournament is in town. There are very strict guidelines that the tournament is following. They're testing, they are quarantining, and so they really are in their own family unit of sorts where the risk of them transmitting the disease on the court to each other is really low because of all the precautions they've taken.
But what if you decide you want to take the game to your own court? Can you do that with the people that you're watching the game with? Can you play a game of hoops with people?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. There might be some caveats around my answer, but we aren't following the same precautions. We aren't being tested. We're not living with these people like the basketball players are. So generally speaking, the answer to that is no.
All right, with the new guidelines from the CDC, I know people are going to be asking, all right, what about if a lot of us, or many of us, or even all of us, got the vaccine before we got together to watch the games?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the CDC did come out with new guidelines recently, and what they are suggesting, and I like their recommendations, is that if small groups of folks are together and that everybody in that small group has been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, then those people can be together without masks with minimal or no risk of transmitting the disease. So carrying that to the basketball court, if several of us have been vaccinated, I think that would be just fine, but everybody has to be vaccinated and fully vaccinated.
All right, is there anything else when it comes to tourney time and all of that that you think that we should keep in our front mind? Okay, so I think that we're having just a little bit of technical difficulty there. No worries, though. We'll get Dr. Swords back on. What we want to do is be able to open it up to your text questions. And so that's what's coming up next. So this is how you get a question to Dr. Swords. The question that you want answered, the number is 336-379-5775. You text your question. Don't call it, but text it, and we'll be right back.